And we are live. Hey guys, Kyle, Reagan, how are you guys doing?
Great. Long time no see.
It's been too long. It's funny. You spend 2 or 3 days with somebody, and I feel this way about both you guys than all the other people who are hopefully going to join us here in a little bit. But I wanted to spend so much more time with every single one of you.
So
It
true.
was when I left the Bash Bros meetup on Friday, there was a feeling of bittersweet, right? I learned so much this week, and yet I still have to go. And at the
Yeah.
same time, next weekend, I hope that everyone's available because I want to hang out with them again.
I
Reagan,
feel the same way.
Yeah.
Reagan, I know that you were with Pace a little bit earlier in the week, right? In Florida, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Somehow, by the grace of God, I ended up 4 days with Pace last week, which is just crazy.
Well, tell us what you're doing.
Yeah. So it started off earlier in the week. I was at Ann McNamara's workshop on revitalizing small towns Tuesday and Wednesday. And so Pace was there and presented on Wednesday. And I already had plans to come to a day with Pace and then also to the Raising Private Capital workshop. So it turned out that Pace and I were both going from point A to point B at the same time. So we were on the same flight, which was a lot of fun. We had a great time. And actually, it was crazy. There was a random sighting of the lady that was helping us out on the flight. And so she was like, "Oh, I don't often get starstruck, but are you, and she just started asking all these questions. So it was pretty cool. And he introduced her to somebody in the community to connect with that was local to her. So that was really fun. And then, of course, just had just such a profoundly amazing time with all of you guys for the next few days after that while we were in Arizona. And I completely share what you were saying, Mike, about, it's this kind of feeling torn because you're just really vibing with everyone and hate to leave. But at the same time, we all have to get back to our families at home and all of those things. But I truly cannot wait to see everyone. I'm just really excited whenever that next time might be, especially with the holidays and all. Hopefully we'll have some people join my workshop in January and I can see folks then.
You know what we should do? We should you dropped a little bit of a teaser there, which I think is great. I think the idea with these things is you drop a teaser and then you say, hey, wait till the end. We won't make you do that. Okay, I promise. But we do want to hear a little bit more about what you're doing.
Sure.
What's so interesting about that flight, by the way, which I found it kind of hit me a little bit, is if she's been a flight attendant for a long time, and it's a flight attendant, right?
All right.
Said, imagine how many famous people who've been on her flights, and then Pace Morby comes on, and that's kind of a big takeaway that I'll mention here a little bit later. But it's just the idea of being visible, which I think Pace has done an incredible job of.
Absolutely.
Before we pass this on, though, I'm curious. This is kind of getting into Pace's world. Is obviously Pace is a first class kind of guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is he a window or an aisle guy?
Aisle. And actually he was sitting directly behind me on both flights because we had a layover in Miami. So that made it a little awkward for conversation, but I guess we're made of the same cloth, cut of the same cloth, because we both had an aisle seat both times and he was directly behind me. One seat.
What's Pace's drink? I know that he doesn't drink, but what's his?
Right. Yeah, it was oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, but the V8 tomato juice. So yeah, and I guess that's what helps keep him healthy too. I know he's been drinking the liquid IV, and Jules and I were just on the No One Left Behind challenge, and that was kind of cool because someone got starstruck that he called there too. So that was kind of fun. It happens a lot, and I asked him after that flight attendant, that whole experience, I'm like, does that happen a lot? He's like, everywhere I go.
That's incredible. That's awesome. Kyle, I'm kind of curious. You stayed until Sunday, right? You left yesterday?
I did. Yep.
Okay. And unfortunately, Pace had to cancel the second day of the capital raising class on Saturday.
Yep.
That's unfortunate. What'd you do instead?
Well, you mean on Sunday or on the canceled day?
I'm curious. Yeah, on the canceled day. I saw a picture of you and Ingrid, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Tell me what you did on Saturday.
So the canceled day, we went to this thing called, I think it's called Bam Kazam, with the group. Jules was there, Reagan was there as well.
That's it. Bam Kazam.
Yeah, it was a blast. Basically, it's this giant facility where you play a series of games. They have like 10 different game rooms available, and you go into these game rooms and you don't have any any guidance on like how to win or lose the game, and you have to just kind of figure it out. And when you pass, you move on to the next room. So like there's like 3 stages, and that was a blast. I don't know, Reagan, you were on the other team, right? No,
No, we
you
were
with
on the
us?
same team.
Were we on the same team? I don't
Mhm.
know if anybody.
It was Nathan that kind of led everything because
Yeah,
he through there.
Yeah,
I
all
don't
of
know
us
if
were on the same team.
that's right.
It was cool. Yeah.
So I don't know how the other team did, but we didn't win a single room.
Well, I blew one of them, so I'll take credit for that. The one where I put my hand on the laser by
That's right.
accident.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was it's kind of like the escape room, but
Mhm.
it was so much
On
fun.
steroids or something.
Oh yeah, for sure. Hi Emma.
Hello.
Yeah, Ma. Just so everyone knows here, I'm gonna speak very highly of you here, Emma. In addition to being a fantastic, I called you a house mom. I hope you're not offended by that, but I thought
Not
that
at all. Not at all.
the feeling in our house was it felt very warm, largely
Yes.
because of you, and thank you so much for that. You made us an incredible dinner on Wednesday night, which I'm very, very grateful for. Sorry, Reagan, you didn't get to taste that. That was
I did have the
fantastic.
leftovers though.
That's one of those meals too that I think is probably just as good, if not better, the second day. So that's awesome. But you know what? I texted you on when you were driving back home. Sorry, I hope you didn't crash.
No.
But I said how impressed I was with you and your attention to detail, and you're kind of like the perfect person who should be doing TC. I think that you're
Yes.
amazing at that. So it was really nice to meet you and all the other people as well who I haven't met in person.
And I haven't forgotten that you want the video I recorded on my phone. I'm going to download it into my drive and then figure out how to send it to you because it keeps saying it's too large to send it.
It's really not a problem. I was just kind of curious because you can hear Pace talk a lot on the recorded stuff. Hearing it in person is a little bit different. I'm not sure why, but I think the audio is obviously better being in person, and then you can kind of see facial expressions in a way that aren't necessarily portrayed through video or audio, obviously. And I thought he killed it on that call. What I was most impressed with about that call is how that agent was. You can kind of, I sensed, at least from my perspective, that she was trying to almost put a power move in over Pace, right? And Pace was like, this is my domain.
Yeah. And it's funny because I actually had a follow-up call with her today, and she very much is a power move kind of person because she was trying to pull that on myself and my lender. And she's at that point where she's like, Pace is going to come. He's going to bring his family. So I want an in-person meeting with Pace. So he told us she would want to follow up, but when he said, oh, yeah, I'm just right up down the street and I would love to do a visit there with my family, I'm like, oh, no. So it's going to be interesting moving forward, but she kept saying that she wanted to talk to the lending man. I want to talk to the money man. And then so I just stopped her and I go, okay, so if I was coming in as a cash buyer, you wouldn't be telling me at this point before we got it under contract that you have to talk to my banker. You would be asking for certain documents, and I have those documents, and I can prove that I have funding and I can get funding. I was like, you're asking to go and talk to my banker before you even get it under contract. And when I got off the phone, my underwriter was like, that was a really good point. Because like what she was saying, she's asking for something that is just like ridiculous. She wants to see where we'll kick back, right? Because she wants those power play moves. So we'll see. We'll see if it's still a good deal.
So Emma, back up a little bit because obviously not everyone who's listening to this, I'm sure there are thousands of people right now listening to this right now. They weren't there in Pace's studio when he made that phone call. They'll probably be able to listen to it soon. But tell us a little bit about the deal. And what I loved most about this, if I'm recalling correctly, is that this is ultimately going to be something for you that is a very mission-driven type of property, right?
Yes, 100%. So I like to just go back even a little bit further. And one of the teams that I work with, the owner is in Owners Club. And he had encouraged all of us to do our Mount Everest. So that was the first time that I got everything out of my head and onto paper. And it really helped me see kind of what I needed to do step by step. One of those things that I wrote down was that I want to specifically focus on co-living homes for the aging community. And it's very much needed in this area. So whenever I was doing some research right before Thanksgiving, I noticed that this property had been listed not once, but twice underneath 2 different addresses. And I was like, that seems strange. And then it gets more strange. One listing was over 100 days and the other one was over 80 days. So I was like, okay, this agent is about to lose this property. I'm just going to call and say, like, what is going on? Just fill me in on the details. And that conversation led into an actual walkthrough of the property with the seller. The agent is the seller's sister. So that was interesting. I was able to really get that personal connection with them. And during that tour of the property, found out that the school that my husband works for actually goes there and does ministry with the elderly. So the reason why this property is so intriguing to me is that it's coming with the purchase of a business, short-term or 10-unit assisted living. And then there's a second property with an additional 10 more assisted living. So right there, that's 20 units that you're getting. And then there's a detached home that is being rented out to a long-term rental. And then it also has a beautiful renovated upper level of the main house that my family can live in. So it has so many things that are going for it. They had told me during the tour that there was creative people from Flagstaff that had called and they weren't interested. But because I was here in town and I made that connection and I wanted to talk to them, they seemed interested in wanting to move forward. By the time we made it today with Pace, they wanted a follow-up call with my team so that we can kind of hash out more of their questions about creative. And Pace just said, I can get on that call for you. And I was like, awesome. Like, I mean, who wouldn't want to like kind of help me through this? And when he made that call, we were setting at the beginning of it at about $500,000 seller finance, nothing subject to. And the remainder, they were expecting to have cash. And it's a $4 million, 10-acre property. And so that's a huge, huge ask. And especially seeing how you're buying businesses, you need to know that it all makes sense. By the time he got off that call, if you listen to it, it sounds like that agent is willing to do 100% seller and pitch that. So it was like this complete, 180, just with Pace talking to them over the phone. And really, I loved how he said, I'm not their friend. I'm going to point out and like push. Like, I'm not here to like skirt around issues. I'm just going to kind of drive in. And I took that to heart on my follow-up call today. And I had those moments where I was like, I love you. I love this property. Like, I can see vision in it, so like pouring it on and just saying like, what you guys built is fantastic. And I want to respect that. But then there were other times where I was just like, okay, hold on a minute. If this doesn't work out, I'm not offended. Like, I'm not putting you into a corner. We don't have to buy this property. Like if it's not for you, if we're not the right buyer for you, it can just sit there on market for another 120 days until you find the right buyer. And so, just playing that back and forth with them of business, right? And being personable.
The part that I really want to listen back to is the part where Pace was talking about how much money they need, how much cash they need to walk away with. And the agent said something to the effect of, I'm paraphrasing, I'll botch it, but she said, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Or now the question was, what are they going to do with the money? Agent says, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
Pace's response was what?
It does matter because that's how we structure everything around what we can offer you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that came up today in our call a lot. She's like, she's not going to give you any more information about what she wants or what she needs it for. And I'm like, okay, well, this is what I am going to tell you. You have a $600,000 mortgage right now that she is expecting to get paid off. We could probably do that. Fine. We could go out and get a DSCR loan, get a private money loan. Great. But that remaining amount, that's what we need to work with. And what is that monthly payment going to be? What is that interest going to be? Like, that's where you know if it's a viable deal or not. And they're going to eventually have to give us some sort of information of what they want or what they need. And we will be able to do our underwriting from there.
Jules, for those of us who are brave enough to do the No One Left Behind challenge, thank you so much for hopping in here. I know that you had do you have a meeting going on right now for the No One Left Behind challenge? You're mute. I don't think you're muted, but we can't hear you unless it's just me.
Same here.
How about now? Can you hear me?
There we go.
Okay,
Gotcha.
thank you. They're on mute, so I just have them. I figured I would join this elite crew here.
Well, thank you. That's
You're
very sweet of
welcome.
you. I'm kind of curious. Give me your recap. I know that the five of us here experienced the same thing in the morning. I think what's going to differ is kind of our individual recaps and what we took from it. If you could tell me a little bit about the morning that we had and what you took away from at least the rappelling part of it.
Oh, that was so much fun. First of all, I had such an exciting time with everybody. Emma, it was amazing. Thank you so much. She was the first person I met. She picked me up at the airport, which is she went way out of her way. And then from there, we went grocery shopping. And I'm like, "Are you mom?" And she's like, "Yes." So we went to Sprouts and we picked up everything for the dinner that she was planning for us all. So thank you for taking care of all of us. We greatly appreciate it. Um, the morning for the day with Pace was super exciting, going rock climbing and rappelling. I know Reagan and I bonded quite a bit. We're like, we're going to do the small mountain, whatever that is, but we're going to do it because we're out here. I definitely want to take that challenge. So um, I really enjoyed just being out there, and I couldn't believe that I was out in Arizona looking at these awesome mountains because I was also in Kalispell in Montana, and I just think Arizona was absolutely breathtaking. And the crew that we had, it was just absolutely amazing. Um, some of you guys took the plunge, climbing those higher mountains, and we just stayed back and we got to hang out with Pace and his crew, and we did some editing. So it was really awesome to see how his team films and how Pace is so quick on the draw, like really coming up with scenarios, and they're doing CTA call to actions and just everything on the video, and then his team, Ben and Scott, just there and on the fly, okay, let's redo it. And they would say, hey, let's do this. And Pace will change it all up. He's like, nope, how about this? And it was just like the perfect pitch, perfect hook. So it really helped me not just enjoying the day from a rappelling and, going through and challenging myself to do that, but also to see Pace in action one on one. It was absolutely amazing. Also, his team is by far, I can't even tell you, like Rachel and Nathan, all of them are amazing, and we bonded so much with everybody. It was great.
Yeah, we need to get Rachel in here if that's even possible. I think that'd be fun
Yes.
to get her in here. In fact, would one of you guys text her really quickly while I ask Jules a question?
Oh, sure.
Julie, don't ever discount that. They called it the boulder. Okay. I was looking at that boulder the first time. I was like, oh, this is gonna be easy. And then you get up there and you're like, holy smokes, this is a lot higher than I thought it would be.
Yes.
And the whole idea that you had to trust the rope to
Mhm.
lean back into was frightening on a 20-foot, just as frightening as it was on 100 and we'll call it 190 feet. I know it's only 110, but
We'll exaggerate. Nobody will know the
at
difference.
least 1,000 feet if it's 5. One thing that I was super impressed with, and you mentioned it here, is Pace's team. I've spent some time with Eric Baum, and Eric is absolutely amazing.
Mhm.
And Pace has continued to build a great team around him. He's brought on Ben Walls, who is such an incredible videographer,
Mhm.
and he has such incredible ideas. And then you add Scott to that,
Yeah.
and the ideas just seem to flow out. What I found really interesting about that, I don't know if you guys noticed this as well, is that Pace shows up and he is ready. He doesn't need like a green room. I mean, obviously there's no green room, but he shows up with ideas and energy, even though he probably had an hour and a half of sleep the night before. The dude is a machine, absolute machine. And the support that he gets from his team, I think only makes him, I mean, shoot, it probably makes him 10 times better than what he would be without them. And he's surrounded himself with amazing people. So let's do this.
I completely agree. That was one of my big takeaways. Like, just seeing that his whole team working together with him, they've got it dialed in. Like that is really impressive. You can tell that he's got a good team around him that helps propel him forward for sure. Which is fantastic. It was really neat to see because, like, for a lot of us, we're still kind of like on the upward trajectory, you know, and we're not near at his level yet. But it's neat that we can see an example of what that looks like, you know, as you start moving up, like as you start building that team around you.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it also goes to, we talk a lot about your vibe attracts your tribe, and that's true about your audience and your followers, but it's also true about your team, because especially in such an intense environment as we all work in, like, you could tell everybody on that team was locked in and they could complete each other's sentences. And that is absolutely invaluable. And that doesn't just happen by accident.
And the work ethic during the day in terms of just hours worked was really impressive, right? What time did we get to the mountains? 8:30, maybe 8:45.
Probably 8:30, 8:45.
But then his team was there at his house until at least 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And they were editing the film from earlier. They were putting together his stories, his reels. They were doing interviews. They were coming up with ideas for doing other things for ads and creating multiple ads at the same time, right? We talked about doing that evergreen ad versus, you know, for this No One Left Behind December challenge. It was really incredible to see how much work they put in, but more importantly, how much output they had as a result of it, right? It was work ethic like I've never seen before, but the output was so much more than I ever could have expected from that amount of work put in, despite them working hours and hours and hours.
I love that, you know, we're taking all this in at the same time that he's having a conversation with us about the 91% of entrepreneurs who, like, that's the number that's so scary, is that 91% of us will never go out beyond just ourselves. Like, we will not branch out and get a team and pay to get our time back, right? And he's showing us what you can do and what you can profit from if you find the right team to have around you, to the point of having individuals in the room that their job is literally to just do whatever is needed, right? Whether it's changing the AC down to running and getting him a water, to, as she joked, clean the toilet, because, you know, sometimes it just has to happen. But they're just grateful to be working, and they work their butts off because they know that this team that they believe in is where they want to be and where they can grow.
Can you guys expand on that a little bit, not only for my benefit, but also the thousands of people watching this? I was downstairs doing a podcast, and I'm really curious what that whole meeting was about. If you guys could expand on that, that'd be amazing.
I guess I'll take lead unless Jules, you want to.
Yeah, I can kick it off, and then you can definitely chip in, because there was so much in that room.
Yeah.
So when Pace was filming his content for his YouTube, and he had asked for all of us to submit our input to ask him a question. So he was answering the first one of the questions, which was, if you had 100K, what would you do with it? And it was really amazing to get his, of course, anything that Pace does, get his feedback on it and how he would invest that. And I'll let everybody kick in a piece so we all can share. So Kyle, I think you're in the room too, if you want to kick it off. And Emma.
Yeah, so
Rachel, so
you're good. So yeah, the one question had to do with, like, you know, what would you do if you had this excess amount of money? But then the next question was, what is one of the problems that you see, right? And that you always have to deal with? And he went back and said, let me preface it by talking about this number, 91. And he said, like, 91% of individuals who are entrepreneurs will never give up the reins and let other people help them build out their business. And so only 9% are truly successful and are willing to do what it takes to continue to grow. You're not afraid to bring somebody on to help you and not be a control freak, right? So after he talks about this 91% percent and what we need to do and the mindset that we need to have. He then answered the question, which was keeping staff. He's like, you don't know how many times you get somebody here, and as soon as you pay them what they think they put in their 2 weeks notice or their resignation, and they use that raise to then go to the next job and get use it as a leverage, right, for a different higher paying job in a different position. And so he started talking about finding the right people, knowing who to pour into and who's probably not going to last. But then also with that, finding ways to incentivize without just doing it by their wage, which is really cool. So buying business with his teams and encouraging them on their entrepreneurial goals and things like that. So he shared stories around that concept.
Reagan, can you go a little bit deeper on that? I'm kind of curious how Pace incentivizes his people. I mean, you touched on it a little bit, right? By bringing them in as equity partners in some of his businesses. What other ways does Pace incentivize his people to stay on and continue growing within his company?
I thought that was really key information because, what Emma was just talking about is in that part of what Pace was kind of sharing with us is absolutely true. I think we've all probably had those experiences where, you have a team member that's highly valuable, you're trying to reward them and all of that, and then you somehow shoot yourself in the foot. So yes, sometimes equity partner, but also, there's different ways to do profit sharing that's not necessarily equity based. And so that's something that has really resonated with me because, really that allows your employees to be their own little entrepreneur within your business and to give them that opportunity to thrive when you thrive. And so they really see, the value of what they're bringing to the business. And, when you're talking about people starting early, working late, and being truly, truly motivated, like we all experienced when we were rock climbing and otherwise, that's how you do that. They have a true vested interest in the success of the business. And so, what could be more motivating than that? And I personally found that to be really impactful. And it's something I've heard Pace talk about before, but I think, especially being an owners club, one of the things I find is that we go straight from one amazing workshop to the next, a retreat to the next. And then it's helpful to kind of have those things reinforced that, maybe our learnings that we had a couple of months ago, and we've moved on and done a lot of other things between point A and point B. And it's like, oh, wow, I need to circle back to that. So for me, it was really helpful to have that reinforcement on some things that he's talked about before.
Kyle, we were talking about what your plan is in 2025 moving forward. You are, like everyone else here, you are a powerhouse in what you do best, which is, would you say that you're an integrator?
Yeah, I typically describe myself to folks in the community as a systems integrator specifically.
So with regard to what Reagan said and what Pace was talking about in terms of building a business, how do you think that you would want to grow in a similar way, or would you want to grow in a similar way?
And well, I'll do my best to answer because I missed some of it because I was still texting Rachel. But
Is she hopping on or no?
She might be able to actually. We'll see. Okay. We'll see what happens. But in 2025, I'd say probably my focus is going to be, at least for now. It sounds like there's opportunity to work together with Ingrid. So like, I'm going to be looking for opportunities to work together with people like Ingrid who have like a proven track record. They can break down a task. They can, they've done deals successfully, so on and so forth. From a systems integrator perspective, you want to make sure that the people that you're working with are able to actually do the thing that they say they want to do. Because everybody has ideas at the end of the day, right? So beyond that, I might pivot a little bit and focus on like a particular niche instead of like going super broad.
Speaking of ideas, we're joined by Rachel Burdick. I feel like, because I know that your time is probably very tight working for Pace, so I appreciate you hopping on here. You have lots of ideas, but I think just as importantly, you put on an amazing A Day with Pace. an amazing day with Pace. I think we can all attest to that. So thank you very much. We appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. This is the first group to do this, guys. So this is insane and awesome. Like, you guys got me so excited this morning when I saw you guys plan it.
Give us so I know that Pace is an aisle seat guy on the plane. We learned that today. We know that he likes his V8. Tell us a little bit more about what it's like to work for Pace. And I'm also curious about what you've learned from working directly with Pace.
I mean, do you have 2 hours is basically, that's a huge question. Working for Pace is absolutely amazing to start off. You never know what you're going to get, which is so fun. And it's kind of having to learn what to do without being told, and to do that, I think it makes me a better person. And I've actually been able to do more things because I'm like, shoot, I just got to figure it out and make it the best. So I guess that's the biggest thing I could say I learned from working with Pace. Other than that, he is exactly who he is when he is at home to when he's at work and when he's hanging out with you guys. I got the honor to live with them in the summer, and I was like, skeptical new employee. I was like waiting for the pin to drop, and it never dropped. Like, he was the same in front of his family as he was in front of everyone. So I think that was super cool to see. And the biggest thing I've learned, oh my gosh, is the ability, I guess, to talk in front of all you people and give you some type of knowledge, because I don't even realize what I learned until I start talking. And I'm like, wow, I knew this 10 different things that I didn't even know I knew. I think that's probably the biggest thing, because I can't just be like, oh, this is what I learned. Here's my list. So once I start talking, I'm like, oh, this is what you should do. This is what you shouldn't do. Oh, that's a red flag. So I guess that's the best part.
Rachel, when's the wedding?
February 22nd.
Do you have a registry that you can put up here? How we have all of our Instagram handles? You can put your registry up there so that we can all buy you gifts.
Oh my gosh, guys. I do. I will have to go find it. I have like 2, because the site I use has like really weirdly expensive gifts, and it won't let me tie Amazon to it. So if you go to one, it's like really expensive, and the other one's like $3 dish towels. So everyone's just gonna give me dish towels. So
what do you think so you've seen a lot of days with Pace.
yes.
Besides the Black Hawk Day, because I can imagine that's kind of up there as, a pretty special day.
I don't really count that as a day with Pace, to be honest, because it wasn't in the, that would never be able to happen again in Day with Pace with the budget. So I would say that was just a pregame.
Got it. What do you think the best Day with Pace is that you've ever seen besides ours from last week?
Obviously. Oof. That's a big question. I'm like, every week, I'm like, that was the best Day with Pace ever. Every week, I'm like, oh, that was so good. Honestly, it's the people who've come. Like, I don't necessarily remember the activities. I'm like, oh, I remember this individual, or I remember this individual. Whitewater rafting and the Montana Day with Pace is nothing like the Arizona Day with Pace. So we did a lot more activities than learning. So like activity-wise, whitewater rafting was fun. But you guys were the nicest group I've ever had. I've never felt so special after a day with Pace, just so you all know. Literally, I was like blushing because I was like, oh my gosh, everyone's so nice. So
we did a great job with On the Fly coming up with an activity on Saturday after the day was suddenly canceled. That was brilliant. And I think, everyone was probably in the same mode of like, oh crap, that stinks. But I also knew like we will all get together, but you like connected that dot and made it happen. You had the van, and I mean, it was perfect.
Thank you.
We had a great time. Thank you for dragging me out to come to the event. I had a blast.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
The activity was fun. The restaurant was fun. I wish I had saved room for the dessert, but I didn't.
No, that's a typical, honestly, that's how Day with Pace goes. I'm like, let's just put everyone together and make it happen. And people just need someone to tell them what to do sometimes. And I guess I've gotten really good at doing that with my job. So I was like, shoot, this would be easy. I was supposed to work today, so I might as well have fun with everybody. So Emma and Mike, you missed out.
I think any time with you, not spent with you, is missing out. So thank you.
Right.
100%. I almost said just get everybody in the van and drive them to my house, but I didn't think that
I
would
was
be
never. We never got the invite.
I should have sent it. I should have sent it.
We could have shown up at that house you want to buy. I'm just kidding.
Strong arm the agent.
That's right.
Reagan, now's probably a good time. I'm kind of curious to learn a little bit more about that thing that we talked about right before we went live.
Sure. Yeah. So I was sharing with the team, I decided to try something a little different that I published in the Owners Club Kajabi just a little while ago. And that is, I'm doing a workshop the end of January. It'll be my first workshop on focused on midterm rentals, corporate housing. I was really excited because while everyone else was climbing other boulders and things for the rappelling, Pace did do a video with me to promote the workshop. So that was really fun. And
Did you get that video?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So it was really fun to do that. And I'm there with my gear on and everything. So that was kind of cool. But anyway, what I decided to do is I actually have miserable timing. It's probably the worst time of year to be promoting it and to be doing it. The end of January is not a great time. And now's the time to start promoting it. And so I'm like, I've got to do something to kind of catch people's attention because people are gearing up for the holidays now. And then the time that it actually happens, of course, is, I've heard that like all these stats about after Christmas, everybody, is very down because they've spent too much money and all of that. So it's the worst possible time. But I wanted to do it and just rip the Band-Aid off and take action instead of waiting too long. And next thing you know, it's Squat Up Summit and it's the next thing and the next thing. So I'm like, you know what, this is my training wheels workshop. So I'm going to do it then. But in any case, I was trying to come up with something fun to do to kind of go along with the video. So what I'm going to be doing is actually a giveaway. And so it's going to be a social media contest. So whoever posts their biggest question or challenge related to midterm rentals and shares the link to the workshop between now and December 18th, whoever has the most engagements will win a free seat to the workshop. So I think that'll be a fun way to get a little buzz going, get people to hear about it, see about it, all of those things. Some other cool things about it is that I, of course, live in Chicago and I plan to have it here. Actually, Ingrid had suggested that I have it in Arizona. And I'm like, I'm thinking about that, but I kind of want to just get in the habit of having my workshops here, although, we'll see after the first one. But in any case, I have a vacation rental property that's about 2 hours from Chicago in Southwest Michigan and decided to move it there because it's a really fun vacation rental. There's a large indoor pool and hot tub. So it's a very different kind of a property. So after people are done with all of the learning during the course of the day, as we all know, we all like to share Airbnbs and hang out and stay together and all that, but they can also go down the slide in the indoor pool and that fun stuff. So I think it will be fun. And one thing that I do plan to do to make it kind of additional excitement as well is at the end of the workshop, day 2, I want to piggyback a meetup. So, my assumption is we'll end up with more newbies that'll be coming to the workshop, but you never know. I might be surprised and we have more seasoned investors that are coming. But the idea is, regardless, to have a meetup to put the newbies that are coming to the workshop along with some more veteran investors. And, we all know your network is your net worth, and being in the right rooms is critically important. So I want to help them do that, give them a little nudge. And I've got some other really fun freebies that I'll be including with people as well, including a great database of properties that we already have available where they can arbitrage to fulfill housing requests. So a lot of cool things. Anyway, sorry, probably a little more than you were looking for, but I'm excited to see how that little experiment goes with the giveaway.
Reagan, what are the dates for the workshop?
Pardon?
What are the dates for the workshop?
Great question. January 25th and 26th.
In Arizona?
I have 2 things.
Okay. Sorry, what was that, Mike?
In Arizona?
No, it's not. It's in Bridgman, Michigan. So for people that live in Chicago, you may be familiar with New Buffalo. A lot of folks go there. This is about 15 minutes north of New Buffalo. It's a great location. So actually being where it's located, it will be kind of an easy commute for folks from Chicago, folks from Detroit, folks from, all around the Midwest, really. So excited, and we'll see. I hope we get a great turnout. And I'm sorry, Rachel, what was your other question?
I have two things. First thing, is any of it live? Because sadly, I cannot leave.
Mhm.
Are you living any of it? Are you giving anybody a sneak peek of what they're going to miss out on?
I will. I don't have that put together yet, but I wasn't planning to share it quite yet, but I will. And that is, we will offer a virtual option for people who can't make it in person. But, you know, as we all know, you get so much more impact from being in person, especially with piggybacking the meetup. I've already got some really great things lined up. Birdie is going to come and present on a design for midterm rentals. I've got a software provider that I'm partnering with as a development partner, and they're actually sending 2 of their C-suite to be in person to not only present their product, but to also just kind of listen to what everyone, what feedback they have and what they're looking for. So I'm really excited about that, and got a few other things that are in process that I won't share quite yet, but nonetheless, I do think it's going to be an action-packed and super impactful couple of days.
That's amazing. Good for you, Reagan. I think it's
Thank
going to be
you.
so awesome.
That's awesome. Second thing I just wanted to say, I think you have it the perfect time of year. I'm going to boost you up right here. When as a young person, my brain's like, new year, new me. Everybody hears rabbits. And so people are like, oh, Reagan's trying. So you like use it, Reagan. Be like, beginning of the year, this is what you need to do. Because like, I'm a rabbit. I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that instead. Jump over there. So there's a lot of people.
Great.
I think
I like it. Resolutions with Reagan, something like that.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, good job. That was
I love
good.
it. I just wrote that down. Thank you, Rachel.
Like that.
I missed where the registration for this was shared.
I don't think I actually said it, but this is something I learned from Pace long ago, like a million other things. And that is, you got to brand yourself personally, not your company, not anything else. So I went right out and got the domain reagansonabin.com, and that's where you got to go.
That's incredible. Good for you, Reagan.
Thank you. And of course, you'll be seeing it on social, so you'll have other chances to get the link, but I'll be happy to share that with anyone. Please message me on Instagram, anywhere else, or on reagansonabin.com.
Love it. Since we're a little bit limited on time, let's go through. Jules, I'm curious what your big takeaways were from the day with Pace and also the weekend with Pace and Rachel.
Oh my gosh, you just said time is limited, Mike. How much time do you want me to spend?
As long as you need.
Wow. Biggest takeaway. Wow. Marketing. So I always thought from the marketing standpoint, like everything had to be perfect. Like I gotta have this green screen room where everything's gotta be pretty. Oh my gosh. David Pace just filming at the mountains and rappelling. He just makes everything seem so seamless and perfect. Even when he was filming in his studio, things would go, he has like a pen hanging out of his hair and just being him, just natural. So I think one of the takeaways is just film. It's going to come natural. It's going to get better. If the lighting is not well, it doesn't really matter. It's people want to see you. And to Reagan's point, it's your brand. So just be comfortable, go natural, and just go with the flow. Raising capital. Wow. That just blew my mind. Everything that he talked about from the family office, it just shifted everything. So my partner, Jim Fanny, and I had our goals done prior. I guess it was Thursday night when he came. We chatted about the direction we wanted to go in 2025, and then after Friday, Saturday morning we met, and they're like, we're changing everything. Like we're restructuring what our big focus are on, and especially when Pace talked about, what is your time worth, and his time is worth $37,000 an hour. I mean, I'm like maybe 1 zero off or 2 zeros off, who knows, but just getting that in perspective and what he's doing, it's just amazing. So being intentional and saying no to certain things and what we should be focusing on. He tells us, he gives us the blueprint and we never follow it. So it's one is taking imperfect action and to just follow his blueprint and do it. So those are my two. I know you said one, but I limited it to two. So
No, I want to hear all about it. What do you think your 2025 looks like now?
As of today, right now, because we always pivot, I'm going to be focusing on co-living, and I do want to use some of the talent we have here on our team right now, Kyle and Emma, for operator and also for systems integration. Pace talked about definitely building a team, and even if it's just a small team, the key personnel that we would need, and taking things away from what I don't want to do or I'm not the best at. So bringing in the people that can help me. So that's what my takeaway: building my co-living portfolio and also raising capital.
I love it. Emma, what were your takeaways from Day with Pace?
I think a few takeaways that I had, well, I guess the mindset that I walked away from, let's just start with that. I kind of penned the wording when we were at that first boulder. I just have to get over the fact that my mind is saying no, right? Because I have come to the realization that I've put myself into a box. I'm a TC, I'm an operator. I don't do any of that. I'm introverted. I don't make those calls, right? And just recognizing that the other point is that so many people don't take action with what they've learned. Like they learn, and they don't do anything. And if I keep myself in that box, I'm one of those people. Because I've been on a fly on the wall in so many types of transactions. I've learned so much. And I was limiting myself by just saying that I'm a TC. I'm just an operator and I don't do that. So my push is to actually start acquiring properties in 2025. And then alongside of that, right, the teams that I'm on, we are actually in really good discussion about expansion and adding more people to the team and what does that look like. So the conversations with Pace were really spot on and right on time of buying back your time and putting the right people on your team and what that means for you when you're wanting to grow and expand.
It's interesting how the analogies kind of translate, right? From rock climbing or rappelling to business or to even personal lives. And one thing that I felt like is that, so you and I were kind of together in our rappelling the whole time, and you were generally right behind me. And I felt like I wanted to be able to help you as much as I possibly could, but also that you were pushing me at the same time, if that makes any sense.
100%.
And I wouldn't have done that without you or without the team here. So
yeah.
Thank you so much for being there for me.
So, that just reminds me, and one of the reasons why I love my top tier community is that we are so quick to share our knowledge with the newbies and the individuals. So if somebody posts a message saying, hey, I have this specific issue, they can literally go to the restroom or go get a cup of tea and come back, and there's going to be 20 beautiful responses, right? And so to me, that was like when we were climbing up the mountain and you would turn around and take the time to be like, this area is slippery. Or, hey, do you want a little bit of extra pull to get up this mountain, right? And this one spot, because it's a little hard and you're short, really short. And so for me, that was like, and so really to me, that was like when we were climbing up the mountain and you would turn around and take the time to be like, this area is slippery. Or, hey, do you want a little bit of extra pull to get up this mountain, right? And this one spot, it's a little hard and you're short, really short.
Sorry, guys. The stream didn't have to hear that you're short twice, by the way. You're not that short. You're not that short at all.
You have big boss energy. I don't even remember how short you were.
Heck yeah. I have a picture of you, Emma, flexing your muscles, and I'm afraid that your muscles are a whole lot bigger than that.
Oh, whatever. I got to see this picture.
Reagan, your turn. Tell me about your takeaways from Day with Pace.
Well, I was thinking about that after, you came up with this brilliant idea this morning, and the hire a team, really is something that I need to do. I mean, I have a VA, I've had a VA for a while, but, one of the things that Pace honed in on that unfortunately you missed, Mike, when you were filming the podcast was that not only do we need to get like a VA, but you need to get a full-time W-2 person, not just a 1099. It's a different level of commitment to yourself, really. And, all the different creative things you can have that person do. And then, there's this piece of it that, you have to structure things in such a way that that person will pay for themselves. And so, Pace shared the example for himself when he first hired someone and how it was like a rocket ship. His business took off, his productivity took off, and it's, all the things that he dreaded doing, someone else was doing and doing better. And so how that really enables you to scale in the way that you want to. So people are truly holding themselves back when they're not having the faith in themselves and hiring. And so, that was definitely a wake up call for me, because I felt like, oh, hey, I've had a VA for a while and I want to scale to 2 VAs. It's like, no, that's not really the answer. So for me, that was definitely a big thing. And the two other, I'll be quick. One is it's all about the relationships. And there, what I meant primarily was, when you're doing calls to agents, that it's not really about the specific house you're calling about. I mean, hopefully things work out with that, but it's about building that relationship. And that's exactly what happened in that call that Emma had that morning. I mean, that was one of the most amazing calls I've heard. There was just so much from that one call, which was so amazing. But, it's not only true just about calls with agents, though. It's really about everything, that's going on here. So just like, where Jules was mentioning, she's planning to work with Emma and Kyle in different parts of her business. That's the kind of thing too. And that whole, the room that you're in really kind of define who you are and how you think and what you're going to do. And then the last thing I would say is, thinking about what I would like to evolve into, and, bringing deals to Pace's team is really beginning to focus on multifamily and RV parks. And so, in both cases, those are some things that I really do want to start looking at more closely. I need to learn more about. So that's kind of part of my commitment to myself in the next month or two, is to really immerse myself more into those things so that I can have a good idea of what they're looking for and start bringing some of those types of deals to Pace's team, because I would love nothing more than to partner with him on something like that.
I love that. That's amazing. One thing that Pace said when I walked into his office, you guys were talking about hiring people. He said something to the effect of, I want everyone who I hire to bring in 10 times the revenue that I pay them. And so that's always, I think, a great thing to strive for. Kyle, what did you take away from Day with Pace?
I took away a lot of stuff. I was on the plane. I got oh, it's probably not going to show up because I got blurred stuff. Like, I've got 2 pages in this little notebook that Rachel gave us. Thank you, Rachel, by the way. I'm just going to limit it down to like 2 primary things. So one is, sometimes you only get a couple minutes to have a life-changing event, and you better be ready to jump on it immediately. And when you do have that opportunity, in line with what Pace had said around the family offices, be ready to ask, who on your team should I talk to? Because you don't want to waste people's time and you don't want to be rude. The other big thing for me was, I'm in a lot of ways more of a newbie than you guys, and I'm on this process of trying to figure some stuff out. I traditionally have worked a W-2 for a long time, so the business side of things is very new to me. And what I realized, a big realization I had, was that being in person makes a vast difference in the outcome, because there's a difference when somebody, you do need like the digital media presence, but no matter how much you put it out there, like, people are going to forget, people get busy. And it's just different when you go get in somebody's face physically and you introduce yourself and you have a good conversation with them. You learn about their background, their stories, their experiences, and you form connections. And I'm really thankful to you, Rachel, and to you, Nathan, and to Nathan as well, like, for how you guys facilitated all of that, because we were able to have a bonding experience together and get to know each other really well and not only be talking about business the whole time. So I think both pieces there are really important. Those are my two big takeaways from this whole thing.
Love that too. Rachel, besides our secret handshake that we now have, do you take something unique from each group that attends a day with Pace?
100%. I learned more than wow, my brain went too fast for my words. I learned more from you guys, I feel like, on a day with Pace than I do with Pace, because I get to know everybody individually, and that's like my favorite part of the day. So I'm very happy that as you guys got to like meet. I'm hearing people starting businesses. It just makes me so excited because that's what I'm truly trying to do. But for your guys' day with Pace, it was about positivity and hard work, and had nothing to do with you as a group, but it just made me realize things, because I was having like a very bad 2 weeks before this day with Pace, and I was like dreading your day with Pace. I hope you guys didn't know, but I was. It had nothing to do with you, but I just had this like screwed mindset. And so then I showed up, and just like everybody's energy of positivity. I'm watching how our photographer Ben worked. I'm watching how Nick worked, Kyle, all of you guys just embodying this excitement. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? And I got excited. And the whole rest of the day and weekend like changed. And so it's like last night I was thinking about like the mindset I had and what was different. And it was like realization of how important it is to come into everything you do with a happy, hardworking attitude, and it will change everyone around you. It will change how you feel about it, and it also makes you remember things more. So I think that was my big takeaway, because all of you guys too connecting, but mostly like remembering to be positive and grateful for everything that I have. So, and that I'm selfish. Someone told that I'm selfish. That's a funny story, but one of the Day with Pace people told me I'm selfish, and it was the nicest thing anyone could have said to me.
Well, can we leave that there, or can we dive into that a little bit? You don't
Mike,
have to know who, but I'm kind of curious.
Well, someone who lives in Alaska, somebody's husband, we were talking, and I was like, well, I want to do this stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, why aren't you? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, why? And I was like, well, I guess I'm scared. And he's like, isn't that selfish that you're like not sharing what you feel like you need to share? And I was like, no. He's like, isn't it? Like, you have this feeling you want to do all this stuff and you're not doing it because of fear. And he was like, you're all into yourself, basically, and called me selfish. And I was like, oh, gosh darn it. I guess that's the biggest takeaway. So I just need to do it.
Don't you hate when some people are right?
Always.
You just have to get past the fact that your mind's saying no. I'm just gonna repeat that. Like you just gotta do it. Just belay. Just jump backwards off of that cliff.
Exactly.
By the way, did anyone read that waiver that we signed? Because I can guarantee that is not the safest thing that we did.
I've never signed a waiver, and I've never read your waiver you guys signed. So I just hope it's all inclusive.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be. Well, guys, anything else we want to mention about the Day with Pace?
Mike, what was your takeaway?
I was going to say, Mike, you didn't share yours. Yeah, thanks, Kyle.
No, I somehow ended up talking over Rachel when I said that. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks for asking, guys. What I find really interesting about Pace's whole operation is that he builds it around his life in a lot of ways. And we've heard him talk about it a lot, right? Where, I mean, shoot, there are times when I get mad at him when I'm listening to a Zoom and he says something like, you guys are spending the time that you're spending with your family. What are you guys doing? You know, he'll mention something like, you guys are probably sitting there watching TV or whatever. And in my head, I'm always thinking, well, shoot, I mean, my kids are out here, they're doing their homework right now. I've seen them for maybe 30 seconds and I'm excited to see them here in a little bit. But what he's done an amazing job of is incorporating his business into his life. Mm-hmm. You know, when we go over to his house, his business comes to him, right? People are there. Now, I don't know what it's like any other day but Thursday and Friday that we were there, but I can imagine that to be as efficient as he is, he's built his business around his life. And he's made it work, which I think is really admirable. I think that to make something like that work, you have to pick the right partner. You have to pick the right people to work with you. You have to do all of the things to make it all work. And, Rachel, you're a great example of picking a fantastic employee, for example. So I think that that's one huge takeaway. I think that Pace is like a perfect example of someone who has an incredible amount of skill combined with this work ethic that is so mission driven. And, in talking with him or listening to him do an interview like we did on Thursday night, his response to, I forget what the question was. It was basically something like, why are you doing this? Like, what are your goals, or when is it enough, or something like that? I forget what it was. His answer was much more eloquently put than I can ever put it. But it was basically, I want to squeeze every last drop out of this life that I have. And to do that properly, it kind of goes back to what I first said. You have to have the right people around you. And you also have to do it with a very mission-driven focus. If I don't truly believe in what I'm doing, I mean, shoot, how many people have we all worked with in a W-2 job where at 3:58 they're out the door, and they're leaving 2 minutes early? That's not the type of people that any of us here are. And for those of us who are either in business for ourselves or want to be, I can guarantee that every single one of us, and I saw us all do it in the Airbnb, people were working till they fell asleep, working the first moment they got up. I was asleep on a sofa in the back of the Airbnb, and Emma was up at like 5:20, and Jim was up on Friday at 4:30 going to the gym. It's the idea that you have to figure out what you want and try to find a way to fit it in and make sure you're doing what it is that you truly believe in. And so my biggest takeaways were, first of all, surround yourself with people who truly inspire you. And being in person with Pace, it's kind of like what you said, Kyle. There's no replacement for doing things in person, especially with people that you truly admire and want to emulate or trust. And feeling that energy, it's really bittersweet actually to leave Arizona for me. I wanted to stay, and I want to do business there. And now I see why people move to Arizona.
So basically you're saying that everybody should move to Arizona?
I think that they should move to Arizona and buy sub-2 homes from us. Yeah.
At least the sub-2 hub. The
Is
sub-2
there a
hub.
Pace Arizona?
Hey, you gotta keep the sub-2 hub low key, Julie.
Just you and me know it.
Yeah. What we should do? I don't know if this has been done, but I think that the community should buy a couple of homes in Phoenix, Scottsdale, and just show up.
We'll get you on the low, Mike.
On the DL, Mike. We'll get you on the DL.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Sorry. Well,
Just
anyway, guys.
One last thing before we wrap. I just want to say thanks to Kent for his Airbnb, and he really let us use it, occupy it. It was great. It was amazing. I had a wonderful time. Thank you all so much.
And to Stephanie for lining it up too. I mean, I know she got in much later than she expected, but she took one for the team and left Ann's workshop a little early to get there, to try to be there to open the door. And I felt bad that it didn't work out. But in any case, that was pretty awesome.
Yes.
Can I just ask one question? Mike, do you have a regular live studio or podcast that you do? You have such a nice background. I'm kind of like,
you do.
Shoot, you got a smooth voice, so I want to hear you again.
You'll hear. Oh, you're going to hear from me again.
Perfect.
So here's the thing. Here's what happened with my office. My office is it hasn't been like this all the time. My wife thought that she was going to do some filming in my office a few months ago. And so what happens with my wife is she takes it over and she makes it look amazing. And so that's why it looks great behind me. My voice is only amplified by this microphone. That's all that it is. You guys have heard me in person. It's not the same.
Well,
But
share
thank
the
you.
microphone then. I'm just kidding.
Well, I know that I speak for all of us, Rachel, when I say thank you so
Yeah.
much. You are truly incredible. We loved spending time with you, and the day with Pace that you put together was, I mean, it's something I'll remember for a very, very long time. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Ditto everything Mike said.
Oh.
We appreciate you.
Yes.
Heart. We love you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm excited for you guys to be like, I know everybody in 10 years. That's the most exciting part.
Yeah.
So 1% to all businesses started after this point goes to Rachel Burdick. Here's no, I'm just kidding.
Well, my goal, Rachel, I didn't tell you this then, but my goal is to make enough money so I can steal you away from Pace. That's my goal.
Absolutely. I'm
Love it.
hireable if you pay more.
We'll talk.
Perfect.
Now that you got that secret handshake, you guys
That's
can
right.
work
That's
that
right.
out.
Hey, I just tell people I'm the best personality hire they're ever gonna hire.
There you go.
You're much more than
I'm
that.
just kidding.
You're amazing. Thank you all.
Guys,
Everyone's been
thank you, guys.
amazing. Thank you all so much. Enjoyed
Thank
it.
you guys. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.